Social Sciences University of Ankara, Turkey. And I would like to thank you for attending us also, Professor Dr. Alparslan Serel, Vice Rector of our university. And I would like to welcome you all, our distinguished participants for our conference, International Conference of Empirical Economics and Social Sciences. I'll be at the technical desk, sirs. Actually, Professor Mohammed Shahbaz is having an issue for connecting to internet. We will start, and after Professor Alparslan Serel and Professor Mabit Ali Mohammed Al-Jarhi's presentation, we will continue try to connect him to our session, and we couldn't be successful with that. He will try to record a video and send it to us, and I will share that with you. So I don't want to take your time. Thank you for attending us again. We will start with opening speeches. I give my word to Professor Alparslan Serel, Vice Rector of Bandırma 17 Eylül University. Thank you, sir. Sayın Hocam, sizdeyiz.
Günaydın Ufuk, sesim geliyor mu acaba? Duyabiliyor musunuz?
Hocam sesinizi alabiliyoruz. İyi ve açık hocam sesiniz.
Tamam, çok teşekkürler. Herkese günaydın. Güzel bir pazar sabahından. Ben de hem üniversitemizin değerli rektörü Profesör Doktor Süleyman Özdemir ve kendi adıma saygılarımı, selamlarımı sunuyorum değerli konuklarımıza. Sizlerle beraber olmaktan da mutluluk duyduğumu belirtmek isterim. Şimdi çok değerli katılımcılar, değerli bilim insanları, biz Bandırma 17 Eylül Üniversitesi olarak 2015 yılında kurulan bir yükseköğretim kurumuyuz. Çalışmalarımızla hızla devam ediyoruz. Bu çalışmalar içinde 2021 yılında 11 tane konferans, sempozyum ve benzeri etkinlik planladık. Şu an özel oturumunda bulunduğumuz konferansımız da bunların üçüncüsü. Yıl içinde bütün bu planladığımız toplantıları teker teker gerçekleştireceğiz. Şimdi üniversitemiz, değerli konuklar, birkaç küçük rakam vermek istiyorum. 2015 yılında kuruldu. 10 tane fakültemiz var, 4 tane enstitümüz var, 9 tane meslek okulumuz var, bir yüksek okulumuz var, 19 uygulama ve araştırma merkezimiz var. Yaklaşık önümüzdeki aylarda kayıtlarla birlikte 19.000 öğrenciye ulaşmayı hedefliyoruz. Bu öğrencilerimizin 2.000'i uluslararası öğrenciler. Sayı olarak bu düzeydeyiz. Yani kurumsal olarak Türk Yükseköğretim Sistemi'ne 300 idari personel, yaklaşık 600 akademik personelle hizmet vermeye gayret ediyoruz. Şimdi Bandırma 17 Eylül Üniversitesi olarak tamamen online olarak yapılacak Uluslararası Uygulamalı Ekonomi ve Sosyal Bilimler Konferansı'na öncelikle hoş geldiniz hepiniz. Planlanan bu etkinliğimiz, bu konferans, sosyal bilimlerle ilgilenen araştırmacıları, akademisyenleri, öğrencileri, yöneticileri, karar alıcıları bir araya getirmek amacıyla düzenleniyor. Bir seri bir konferans dizisi. Tabii burada iktisat, işletme, finans, sosyal bilimlerin geniş tüm alanlarıyla ilgili uluslararası katılımcıların uygulamalı, teorik konuları sunabilecekleri, tartışma yapabilecekleri, bunları paylaşabilecekleri bir fırsat amaçlanmıştır. Değerli araştırmacılarımız konferans konularıyla ilgili hem uygulamalı hem de teorik çalışmalarını birlikte paylaşabileceklerdir bu konferansımız çerçevesinde. 29 farklı ülkeden 177 katılımcı, 101 bildiri olduğu dikkate alındığında bu amaç için atılan adımların ne kadar yerinde olduğu da anlaşılıyor. Biz siz değerli katılımcıların uzmanlıklarınızı, tecrübelerinizi, kaynaklarınızı diğer meslektaşlarınızla rahat bir şekilde paylaşabileceğiniz bir katılımcı atmosfer yaratmakta büyük mutluluk duyuyoruz üniversite olarak. Ben tabii ki bu özel oturumun başlangıcında sizlere bu küçük bilgileri sizleri sıkmadan vermeye gayret ettim. Tabii bu duygularımla bu konferanslar dizisini gayet efektif bir şekilde sürdüren değerli meslektaşım Profesör Burak Darıcı ve ekibine çok teşekkür ediyorum. Kendilerinin emekleri son derece karşılık bulmaktadır. Tabii bu süreç umarım güzel bir konferans süreci olur. Ben de nacizane konferansımızın çok başarılı geçmesini temenni ediyorum. Değerli katılımcılara sevgi ve selamlarımızı iletiyorum. Üniversitemiz adına çok teşekkür ediyorum hepinize. Saygılar sunuyorum. Ufuk, teşekkür ederim.
Sayın Hocam, biz teşekkür ediyoruz açılış konuşmalarınız için. I would like to briefly summarize our Professor Alparslan Serer's speech. He will tell you a brief details about our university, Bandırma 17 Eylül University. Currently, we have been founded on 2015 with nowadays we have 10 faculties, 4 institutes, and 5 vocational schools with approximately 19 students. And he will briefly told us about the participant numbers and presentations and manuscripts of this conference. Currently, we have, let me check it out again, from 29 different countries, on total 177 participants, and on total we have, today we will get 101 presentations, and he wish success for all the conference sessions. Thank you, sir, for your kindly speech and wishes. Nowadays, now I will give my word to Professor Al-Jarhi. He's working as a professor on Social Sciences University of Ankara. Sir, this is your turn. You hear me, by the way?
Yes, sir. Professor, I hear you. But would you please give me a chance to share my presentation?
Yeah, of course, sir. I'm not now giving permission to you for sharing your screen. Okay, sir. Now it's okay.
All right.
Now we are seeing your presentation clearly, sir.
Yes, very good. Now, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is the topic that I would like to speak on, and I would like to start as a Muslim with some prayer. That's say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah. Islamic economics has been a somehow not properly placed in the academia. There are 6 fields that I would like to identify, and I would like to tell you in which field I am writing, I am working, and my book that's just been published by ASBU, by the Ankara Social Science University, in which field it lies. First, we have Fiqh of Islamic Economics, and this is the common writing that you'll find it everywhere. History of Islamic economic thought, this is There are few people specialized in this, and you can occasionally find it in published articles. Economic history of Muslims. This is something that you can occasionally find if you're interested in economic history. Analytical economics, and this is the field, and an Islamic perspective. In other words, you would handle Islamic economics not as a study of divinity or of a religious study, but of an economics study. So you use the economics methodology. And the book that I'm offering the first volume, and I have put the connection to or the link to free access. All of my books and articles are free access. It aims to develop and promote this field. So I am really interested in promoting the field of analytical Islamic economics. Islamic economic philosophy, they say that when economists get old, they become philosophers. I hope I'll never be old enough to be that, because philosophy sometimes bores me. And social decision making, this is something that is like the Arrow, the Buchanan, and other people who talk about the political system and so on. So now this is the cover of the book, and when you download it, you'll find this. Now the chapter 1, it says why Islamic economics. We have now a well-established discipline of economics with many schools of thought. Why do you produce or introduce another school of thought? The first chapter handles that Islamic economics is the reaction to gaps in economics itself, in methodology and analysis, and also economics provides a fourth phase basis to support market capitalism. Economics has been the apologizer for the status quo. We would also have gaps in the status quo. In market capitalism, the structure is prone to crises. Nobody can deny that anymore. There is no invisible hand. There is no stable equilibrium. And it is supported by the dominant school, which is the new classical school. We have many schools. The new classical now is dominant intellectually as well as politically. And it is impossible to reform the system. We can remember the Chicago Plan in 1930, which was rejected, and nothing much happened after that. So chapters from 2 to 4, what are the Muslim early contributions to economics? And this is a very surprising part of the book, because the early fathers of Muslim economists, Shaybani in the 8th century wrote the first book in microeconomics, and I consider him to be the father of economics, not Adam Smith. Adam Smith is just a young child as compared to Shaybani. And then,
sorry to interrupt, sir, but currently we can't see your presentation as a presentation.
Oh yes, I remembered that I am now in Google Meet, and I have to start every time for the slide. Sorry. Thank you very much. I will go back to the slide. I think you can see it now. I will restart every slide. This is one of the problems with Google Meet.
Yes, sir.
So Shaybani is the true father of Islamic economics. Adam Smith may be the true child. Al-Asfahani, 12th century, and Al-Ghazali in the 12th century. And then we had the dawn of public finance, and we had the first book in political science by Al-Mawardi, and he started political science. And then we have Ibn Taymiyyah with his system of Hisbah, which is market order, a system of maintaining market order. And then we have, surprisingly, Ibn Khaldun, who became the father, or should be considered the father of analytical economics. Ibn Khaldun wanted to reason everything. And of course, after him, we had Al-Maqrizi in monetary theory, and Al-Asadi with his holistic prognosis. So we have a rich heritage of economic thought of Muslim scholars. Now we come to chapter 5, and of course, you know, there are some people now who consider those early fathers to be, they're thinking to be what is Islamic economics is, but it is not. Islamic economics should be much more developed than the theories of the people that I have just mentioned to you. So we come to chapter 5, and the first international conference in 1976. This was a conference that was made in Mecca, and I attended that when I was still a recent graduate. And this was the start of professional, technical Islamic economics. And the topics discussed at that conference started with an attempt to define Islamic economics, Islamic economic ethics, and consumer behavior, takaful, and economic cooperation among Muslim countries, indexation, and economic development, and the new generation of Islamic economics, like the likes of Siddiqi, Muhammad Najatullah Siddiqi, Omar Chapra, Anas Zarqa, Mundhir Qahf, Abbas Mirakhor, and many others. These are just examples, and I'm sorry that I cannot mention everyone. In chapters from 5 to 8, we compare the new classical versus Islamic economic methodology. This is one of the big differences that we disagree with, this is one of the big differences, which is a subject of disagreement between Islamic economics and new classical economics. And perhaps we are not alone in this. Maybe some other economic thought, schools of thought have the same problems. So the sources of failure of the new classical methodology, and then we speak about why utilitarianism is a problem, why extreme rationality is a problem, instrumentalism, which was developed by Friedman, and it was called the F-twist by Samuelson, the perfection of information competition. Everything's perfect. We are when you are in the new classical economic analysis, you feel that you are in an Islamic paradise. Everything is perfect. It's a perfect system. No equilibrium producing, but whether, on the one side, they claim that there is an equilibrium, but how it comes about, what kind of process? No. You can prove it mathematically, but you cannot show that it takes place institutionally. So there is a lot of defense of the status quo. Mathematics is also a problem here, because there is a lack of update. The mathematics that economists use is a little bit outdated when you compare it to modern mathematics. There are serious mathematical mistakes. The inventor of math, was a person of ethnically Turkish individual called Al-Khwarizmi, who invented algebra and the zero and so on. If he saw these mistakes, his bones would shake in his graves. So also we do have a serious aggregation problem, not one, many, in neoclassical economics. So there are some non-neoclassical models which we present in the book as examples of alternatives. Now we go to the next slide, and we see that what is the methodology of Islamic economics? First of all, we start with the that our divine text is authentic. We have a really authentic Quran, and Hadith authenticity has been well documented, much more so than any other document in the world. We follow in theory and construction and testing a la Ibn Rushd. Ibn Rushd is the father of intellectual rationalism, and he developed the scientific method, and we follow his methodology. Induction plus deduction. Deduction first and then induction. Common misconceptions. There are some common misconceptions in our discipline due to the fact that not professionals wrote this, so we wanted to clean them out and to say, no, this is wrong. We do not say that in economics. Equilibrium versus disequilibrium. Can we do a disequilibrium analysis in an imperfect model? Or, I mean, can we do an equilibrium analysis? Perhaps in many cases, no. And in some cases, maybe we can by some institutional configuration. The neoclassics and the great moderation, which they claimed before the international financial crisis, we talk about that, and we say that the recession was coming, but only 12 economists in the West saw it coming. It was mishandled, and we would like to show how we would have handled it as Islamic economists. And this would be a good clarification of how Islamic economics differs from neoclassical economics. In chapters 9 to 12, we present a new theory of consumers and producers' behavior in a search model. So we get out of the neoclassical framework, and we have, of course, the book explains search theory, alternative models, and then we take the consumer and producer behavior. We take it up and they present a new structure. So we have a new theory of demand and the search behavior on both market sides. That's the producers and the consumers, and we arrive to an implosive ripples to replace the Marshallian scissors. And Sraffa's contribution to the theory of the firm is very important, and it's very critical to our theory of the firm in Islamic economics. So we explained it, and then we look at the firm as a price searcher in Islamic economics, and we study the supply schedule, and we find that we would have an exploding ripple due to the change in information, and we have finally a floating disequilibrium, and we don't have an equilibrium in the microeconomic market. So that's microeconomics here. In the chapters 13 to 14, we talk about markets and trading and rules and classification of transactions. In this respect, we talk about market and society and the market structure and the trading rules and the argument between free and controlled markets, and also the relationship between risk sharing and in markets and specialization. And we show that risk sharing encourages specialization and increases efficiency. And then we classify transactions in order to distinguish between the Islamic economic system and the and market capitalism, in order also to show that prohibiting some transactions can increase welfare and does not reduce welfare, as many economists would claim. So, and then we compare credit purchase with borrow and purchase. In other words, you go to an Islamic bank and you finance your car through credit purchase, or you go to a conventional bank and then you make a loan and then purchase. And we show that these two ways are not equivalent. One way is better than the other, is more efficient. And we compare both economies with and without borrowing. And this is a new thing because, you know, new classical economics or the new classical model ignores credit. And then also we catch the Sharia boards in banks in camouflaging riba-based or interest-based transactions because of their ignorance of economics. With due respect, of course, they are knowledgeable in their own fields. In chapters 15 and 16, we talk about the rate of interest, and this is also another surprising part of the book, that we review the alternative interest rate theories and what their essence is, and we show that time preference as presented by Bombaverk and Irving Fisher and so on, and maybe previously classical economists before them, was misunderstood. And of course, we show the problem of aggregating time preferences and also the rationale why interest should be prohibited. And the surprise here that conventional finance has, conventional economist or particularly Friedman and Samuelson, they have shown that conventional finance causes inefficiency, that a positive rate of interest causes serious inefficiencies, and how we can remove this through Islamic finance. So in chapters 17 and 18, we talk about the economics of Islamic finance. In other words, we treat Islamic finance as a part of economics. Of course, finance is a branch of economics. Nobody can deny that. So in Islamic finance, we speak about modes, institutions, rationale. Why should you do that? Because it looks like a roundabout way to provide finance. And what are the economic effects? What are the economic effects? And then we talk about securitization and financial instruments. And we talk about hedging and ways to hedge in Islamic finance without involving either interest or pure risk trading. So so this is volume 1. What is going to be in volume 2? Of course, it took me about 3 years to issue volume 1. I hope I can take another year to issue volume 2. And we would like to reconstruct macroeconomics around the following themes. First of all, we want to debunk interest rate theories. We want to show that these theories have serious mistakes, and the link between time preference on commodities and interest on money is missing. We have now a missing link which nobody could prove its existence till now. Then we compare our Islamic macroeconomics with the other part, I mean, with neoclassical, Keynesian, etc. And then we present an Islamic macroeconomic model which uses equity-based money. And this is a revolutionary idea that gets rid of debt-based money from our economy. It is a prescription for a competitive economy. In other words, any economy that uses equity-based money will become more competitive than all other economies. It would have high growth, it would have full employment and price stability. And we also talk about the grand sector, zakah and awqaf, and the role in the macroeconomic problem. Now, what are our conclusions? We have a new textbook. We established now a new school of thought. Volume 1 is already published. I have provided the link to you in the chat. And then Volume 2 is under preparation. Now, so what's more? First of all, we would, the Islamic analytical economics, using Ibn Rushd's scientific approach to research, following the tradition of Ibn Khaldun in economic analysis, launching a revolution against neoclassical economics and the interest rate theories and market capitalism, aiming to produce economists who can manage the economy, develop the discipline, and dialogue with Western economists. So these are the type of economists, and this what I hope that my students and the students of analytical Islamic economics would become. Then to the next slide, we can see here that I have some recommendations. Now, what are the recommendations? First, I hope that this book would be adopted as a core of Islamic economics. Forget about fiqh, history, and so on. Let these parts be taught somewhere else. But for Turkish universities and maybe other universities all over the world, this book can be adopted as a core part of for economic studies. Encourage writing and using such a textbook in the field. In other words, if you want to have an Islamic perspective of economics, you can do that. It is not impossible. You just have to be creative. Move Islamic economic studies from departments of religious studies to departments of economics. This is what really surprises me. Why put the study of economics of that depth and that sophistication in a department of divinity, and then upgrade the math component of economic curricula? We want to teach our students high-powered math, and we would like to consider the gradual application of an Islamic macroeconomic model to Turkey and to other countries. Any country that wishes to apply this macroeconomic, it will give it a leap forward in competitiveness as an economic power. Thank you very much. Allah knows best. And many thanks to the university for inviting me. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sir, thank you for your valuable presentation, and also I remind you all participants, Professor has just shared his book on the chat site. You may follow the link and download the ebook version of this book. We with professor and the other valuable distinguished professors' efforts in Turkey, there's a growing interest in Islamic economy, thank God. We'll see better results and probably in ongoing years. Are there any contribution questions for the professor? If yes, you may raise your hand, or you may write it on a chat site, and I may ask on behalf of you, sirs and ma'ams, if you have. By the way, the Professor Mohammed Shabbas connection issue has still continued, so probably he will try to record his speech. If he couldn't be successful with the recording or connecting, we will take his session on ongoing hours, and I will keep you posted regarding his speeches, regarding his videos, sirs. Probably there is no questions.
We have a hand raised by Dennis Ushakov.
Sorry, yes, sir, I'm sorry. Yeah, Dennis, I will open your microphone, sir. Just hold on a second.
Okay, good morning, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes. Loud and clear, sir.
Okay, good afternoon from Thailand. Good morning to Turkey, and thank you very much for invitation for this wonderful conference. And my special thanks to Dr. Mabit. Dr. Mabit, your presentation was really great, and that your job about Islamic economy, Islamic finance. This is a really great job. You know, I never read something like this, not only economical, but historical and philosophical analysis of Islamic economy, and you compare with Western thoughts, and it's really great job. And I wish you good luck and best success for the future, for the preparation of second, third, fourth, and fifth parts of your contribution. I just have small question. Just would like to know your opinion about the future, and about the future of Islamic economy, not separated. You told that Islamic economy, like equity finance and the economical model, when most important strategical areas are controlled by government and mostly under strict public control, but equity finance, like small business, belongs to people and gives them good job and money to survive. But this is like Muslim approach, Islamic approach, but we live in global world. And actually, even today, Islamic countries, they have to play by global rules. And global economy, mostly Western thoughts dominated. So I would like to want to know your opinion about globalization, about the future of global economy, the modern crisis that we saw already in Western globalization, that we saw already in the Western model, and many countries, China, Russia, Turkey, criticize Western approach to globalization and also Islamic world. And can they offer own maybe Islamic model of globalization, or Islamic countries will be as a construct, will keep this position as a construct part of Western globalization model? What about the future? Will you be part of globalization by Western rules, or Islamic countries will offer own model of globalization? Just your opinion. Thank you very much.
You see, as an economist, I look to globalization as a game. And of course, the games can be cooperative and can be competitive. And this is, of course, a competitive game. And if your system is better designed and more convincing, you can gain followers. So the new classics since the 19th century, they have told us about the invisible hand, about stable equilibrium, it's automatic, about the Marshallian scissors, and so on. Of course, if you look deeply into economics, you will find that there is no market demand curve. It can take any shape. The Sonnenschein Mantel-de-Broe conditions say that there is no market demand curve. There is no actually single unique equilibrium. There is no such thing as stability in the market. So what I'm saying here, we would like to compete in this globalization game. And we would like to present a better alternative. We would like to present a plan for economic reform for the world. If you give up debt-based money and use equity-based money, you will gain a lot. The Chicago plan was, of course, had its own advantages, but it was ignored because the Chicago people themselves tend to be neoclassics, more neoclassics than, or more royal than the king. So they did not really carry out their message or carry on their message forward. But we would like to carry on this message and show the world that we would like to reform the system. And here is how to reform it. This is actually the most valuable thing that the third world now has, and can show that, as a matter of fact, there is a competition now between China and the United States on the first position in the world as an economic power. I am sure that if China uses the Islamic alternative, although it is controlled by a secularist, say, communist party, they would win the economic race. So we are ready and we have the tools, but we have to have the creativity of mind and also to be aware of the problems of the neoclassical economics, and not to be deceived. Not to be deceived. I don't know, we have books full of problems of this neoclassical economics, but they are ignored. So we would like to learn them, and we'd like to spread this around. Thank you very much.
Sorry, my microphone has been just muted. Thank you, Dr. Deniz Ushakov, for your contribution and questions. Are there any questions or contributions? I think there is no. So, Professor Mabit Al-Jari, thank you for attending us again. I'm now closing this session. Just for the reminder for the newcomers, Professor Mohammed Shahbaz has a connection problem, so we will keep you updated regarding to his speech and presentations for ongoing hours. So I'm now closing these sessions. All presentations for the participants' manuscripts will be started at 1 p.m. All sessions will take in 4 halls, and there is Google Meet links on the programs. You will see upper row in each session time for each hall and for each hall chairs. If you have questions for the sessions and technical issues, you may directly email me. My email address I'm writing over here, and also you may send an email to over here. Yes, you may see the related email addresses on the chat site. So thank you for joining us. I'm now stopping the recordings and closing this session. Thank you very much. Have a nice Sunday. Thank you.
Bye.
you.